to the D to the N to the G to the A to the L. B to the D, B to the D, B to the D. B to the D, B to the D, B to the D. B to the D to the N to the G to the A to the L. B to the D to the N to the G to the A to the L.
So we'll just start in a couple of minutes. We'll just give a couple more minutes for people to get seated.
Work with Paul? I'm sorry.
We feel bad for you.
You're in charge.
All right, everyone. So if you're not seated, grab a seat and we'll get started. My name is Jennifer West. I'm a customer success manager here at Salesforce. I've been with the company for about 4 years. I'm still liking it, so that's a good sign. I wanted to tell you a bit of a story about how the idea for this session came about. I was talking to one of my customers several months ago, and she's a big Dreamforce proponent. She comes out every year, and she said, you know, there's one thing, though, that I find frustrating at the end of every Dreamforce. I feel like when I get back to work, I have to spend money to do all of these great things that I just learned, whether it's hiring professional services or getting an outside consultant or whatever the case may be. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we had a session that's solely focused on free or very inexpensive ways to optimize our customers' use of Salesforce? So that's kind of how the idea came about. I did not come up with the title. I hope when they came up with it, they didn't have me in mind in terms of free and cheap. But anyway, so we have a lot to cover today. So I know no one's seen this before, but if you are interested in learning more about Salesforce.com and our safe harbor statement, please do visit our website. Okay, so you're going to learn 3 things today. It's pretty simple. You're going to learn how to be a hero, you're going to save time, and we're going to make your life easier. Really, in terms of what you can expect, there are 2 things. Hopefully we're going to have you walk away with some free and cheap applications from the AppExchange that you can leverage when you get back to the office. We're also going to help you better understand what free and cheap tools are available from Salesforce. And I personally think that I have the best speakers in all of the sessions that you're going to see today. So you're going to learn a lot from them as well. All right, so let's break it down in terms of what you can expect. So as I mentioned, there's really going to be 2 components to this session today. The first is going to focus on AppExchange applications offered by both partners and Salesforce.com. The second section of the session is going to focus on Salesforce.com tools and services. So things that you may be using today but may not be using to the best of your ability, or things you may frankly not even be aware of. I have highlighted 4 things with red stars, and those are specifically to highlight the items that we're going to talk about that have to do with data quality. So I know that is extremely important, so I just wanted to call that out. If you don't get everything on this slide, I'm going to put it back up at the end, so you won't have to worry. So just a show of hands, who out here has heard of the AppExchange? Aha, good, good, good. How about the BroadSoft Unified Connector? Aha, okay, nobody. Good. How many have heard of Salesforce.com community? Good, that's a good sign. Okay. How about Force.com app extensions? Couple? All right, not too many. Okay, so this basically tells me what I thought, which was we've heard of some great things that we can be taking advantage of, but there are some things that you're going to learn today that you're not aware of right now. So hopefully we're going to change that today. Okay, so given the show of hands, I'm not going to get into a spiel on what the AppExchange is, but there are 2 points I want to drive home on this slide. One is right now there are over 300 free applications out on the AppExchange. Unfortunately, we can't cover them all today, but these are a combination of both partner applications and Salesforce applications, so we'll highlight a few of those today. I also want to point out my little lab guy here to explain what we mean by Force.com Labs. Has anybody heard of Force.com Labs, know what that means? Okay, a few people. We will be referring to it throughout the presentation, so I wanted to make sure I highlighted that. Anything you see on the AppExchange with that little icon, Force.com Labs, not the lab guy, but the little logo there, that means that those are applications that have been developed solely by Salesforce. Okay, so when you're out there searching around and you see the Force.com Labs logo, that's what that means. All right, so we have a lot to cover in the next 50 minutes, so I want to just jump right into it. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our first speaker. She comes to us from a company called Illuminate, which are the trusted choice for many companies for web, video, and online learning solutions. She has used Salesforce, I think, at 4 different companies so far, so she's definitely, I would consider, an expert. And they're certainly taking advantage of some free and cheap ways to make their Salesforce use richer. So I want to take this opportunity and round of applause, if you don't mind, for our first speaker, Carol Sullivan.
Thanks, Jen. Oh, I have to change my own slides. Don't forget that part. There we go. There's my name and everything. Very exciting. As Jen mentioned, I have used Salesforce at 4 companies. This is my 4th Dreamforce. And I've been in sales ops over 15 years. So back when I was in sales ops in the early days, no one knew what it was. And a lot of people asked me, what is sales ops? How does that play into sales? You don't sell anything. And I said, sales ops is all the things the VP of sales doesn't want to do. And everyone understood that. So, oh, you turned me up, didn't you? Okay. So let's see. Since I've been in sales ops for so long, I've seen a lot of things. And, you know, back in the early days, there wasn't Salesforce.com, and we did whatever we could with the few tools we had for free. And now flash forward, and I am running global sales operations for Illuminate, which is a product in the cloud. And even with all the changes in technology, we still worry about free and cheap because you never have enough budget to do everything that you want to do. So one of the things that I got the biggest bang for my buck, which was 0, for, was, as mentioned by Jen, the BroadSoft Unified Connector. So this little connector is totally free, and it connects your phones to Salesforce.com. So anybody here have an inside sales team or a support team that you need to track their calls? Yeah, that was always a challenge for me too. I always had to pull information out of our phone system, run it, report in Excel, and then give everybody the data separately from all the other stuff we tracked in Salesforce, which didn't work out. So the BroadSoft Unified Connector works with Salesforce contact center, call center functionality, and it allows you to connect your voice over IP system directly to Salesforce, and it lets the reps use the click to call, and then a window pops up and lets them fill in the notes. And when they're done, they close it, and it logs an activity. that marks the time and duration of the call. It also marks whether it was inbound or outbound. So now, not only do my reps love it because it's really fast and they don't have to go back in later and fill in the information and forget to fill in the information. I know that doesn't happen to anybody but me. But they're able to just do it so quick, so easy, they can't live without it. And for reporting, I can't live without it because now their calls are on their dashboard. I don't have to go do another report that takes up lots of time and then try and mesh it with this other Salesforce data. So it really is an awesome, awesome tool. Simple installation, takes about 2 minutes to install, and works again with the Salesforce Contact Center, I think it's called. Okay, so that really also helps with the accuracy of data. And one of my other big favorites is demand tools, which you hear a lot about software that helps you keep duplicates from going into Salesforce and make sure you get accurate data into Salesforce. But people don't talk a lot about the fact that sales reps and managers and anyone else who's entering into Salesforce might be messing up that perfect data that you put in there. So demand tools, although not free, is incredibly cheap. They have small to medium business pricing as well. So I can, using demand tools, go in and change thousands of records at the same time. Like I mentioned, it merges, and it's really the tool that lets me be able to have all that accurate reporting that we always talk about. So if we look at a screenshot, this is for dedupe. You can actually see what you're doing before you change it. So again, back in the dark ages, when I needed to change something in my database, I'd export, put it in Excel, change what I needed to in Excel, and import it back in. What a pain that was. And then you couldn't see what it did. You had to then go check your records and make sure that it did the right thing. Well, this shows it to you on screen. You can see just the fields you want to see. You don't have to see the whole record. And you can, when you're merging records, you can choose things like, they call it combine fields. So you can take both description fields and put them together. So even though it uses the awesome functionality of the Salesforce merge, you can do some extra things. So it gives you some extra power, as well as seeing a bunch of things to change all on the same screen and not have to go through many, many steps to get there. So that's deduping, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. It does all kinds of field updates, and I had a big list on the other slide, but one story I had while I was preparing this presentation was my president called and said, my report is broke. And I know that everybody's had this happen. And the report wasn't really broken. It was just that marketing had, and my marketing guy is out there smiling, marketing had changed some fields and pick lists because we were reporting more on products than we used to as we grow. You know, you always report on more as you grow. And his report was based on some old, very old stuff. So now we had added lots more information, added fields, and we were tracking things much more closely. So it was easy to go into Salesforce and change his report so he could see what he wanted. But part of the problem was we've changed product over 10 years that we've been in business. So the old product was not showing up. So I had to go and add those fields to those old products so that it would show up in this revenue since the dawn of time report that he liked. And I didn't want to go product by product, open it up, change all the fields, save, open it up, change the fields, save, because that would take forever. And I don't have anybody to do that for me. So using demand tools, it was great. I could say, I want to see all these products that were created before a certain date or don't have anything in this field, and I want to see the product name and it contains whatever, and I can then update the field. And I can see it all on this screen. So it took like 2 minutes and then another 10 minutes to fix the report, and the president had what he wanted that same day. That was hugely powerful. So hang on just a second. I need a sip of water. Getting really dry. Sorry about that. That's what you get when you talk really fast. So seeing it before you change it is wonderful. So I love demand tools. And now the president had that report that he loved. but he still is dumping his reports into Excel. I got to stop him from doing that because I can make a dashboard do anything he wants. So the next thing I want to talk about is the free dashboards that are available. I can't live without dashboards because, like I said, I hate Excel. I did it in the dark ages. It's so way back then. And I know dashboards can be kind of overwhelming because you can do so much with it, and Salesforce is coming out with all the new analytics things. But the more dashboards I create, the less I see Excel in a meeting. And I hate sitting in a meeting and somebody pulls out some stale old Excel spreadsheet and says, you know, we're down here and this is doing great. And I know that's not true. I usually flip up in my laptop and say, no, that's not true. Look, I can see the data today. And that makes a big difference. But dashboards can be overwhelming. So if you haven't used them before, go into the AppExchange, and Force.com Labs, which Jen mentioned earlier, has all kinds of free dashboards that you can download into the system and use to look at adoption, look at your sales, look at all different kinds of things, and that gives you a great jumping off point. And also, of course, everyone knows that the help system and the tip sheets in Salesforce is fantastic. That's another thing that I can't live without, and learning about dashboards, that is very simple. So I think we're going to talk a little bit more about dashboards later in the presentation, but it's certainly something that you want to use over and over and over. Like I said, more dashboards, less Excel.
Thanks, Carol. That was great. So Carol's given us a good taste of some freebies that are out there. I certainly don't want to waste any time here. I want to get right to our next presenter. So this is our next presenter's third time speaking at Dreamforce. So he's certainly a seasoned presenter. He has been with Commvault Systems for 7 years. So he's definitely a veteran. Commvault uses Salesforce in many, many different ways. They take advantage of a lot of functionality, a lot of free and cheap solutions. And the best thing about our next presenter, too, is that he's a pretty funny guy. So round of applause for Paul Young.
Sorry. Is this the clicker?
Oh, yes, it is.
Outstanding. All right. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Now, I am from New Jersey, so if I talk a little, thank you. God bless you. If I talk a little bit fast, forgive me. I'll be here afterwards. I'd love to exchange cards with some of you guys if you have questions, or if I talk too fast, you don't catch it. But I'm really excited, and I'm going to do something that Jen doesn't know about yet. It's not a career ender, so be calm. So, one of Salesforce's competitors is handing out these things outside. It's not a bad product, actually, but they lack something Salesforce has. They don't have the equivalent of an AppExchange. So you better be good at coding, or you better be ready to pony up some cash. Without that, they really don't have anything to differentiate themselves. So let's talk a little bit about what you can find for free and cheap. And by the way, so I can justify coming out here, Commvault does really fantastic things with deduplication, backup, recovery, data management. I would love to get you in touch with one of the salespeople so that our stock price will go up and I can retire. Huh. Oh, well. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. All right. So, I don't know about your users. And by the way, are most of you guys technical? Can I see who's an admin or something technical? Okay, thank God. So we're going to actually tell the truth today. We're not going to do the marketing track. I don't know about your users, but mine, for guys and gals who have masters and MBAs and God knows what, they seem to be illiterate when it comes to spelling. And when you go to pull a SQL report, I am not happy when I have to put, you know, variation of spelling, like, little squiggly thing and all that 17 times just to pull up Uzbekistan. There is this fantastic thing called Country Complete. Now, I happen to know the guy that runs the company that makes it, and he's a little bit of a creep, but the product is excellent. Don't tell him I said that, okay, because I have to work with him. The product is excellent. It will standardize your data. You can either go with the ISO, or if you like to be different, you can go with JOSO, whatever the heck you want to put in there. But this will force your users to go the right way, and that's the key. Make it easier to do what's right than what's wrong. That's why they paint lines on the road. That's why roads bank. You have guardrails. Because if you let everybody do whatever they want, then it ends up as a chaotic mass, kind of like the way you guys are seated here. If there was something funneling you, country complete, it comes out nice. So that is a good one. Get that one if you don't have it. This is the one that I can't live without. Why? Because I'm a lazy administrator. Now, again, Jen, please cover your ears. I love Salesforce. Salesforce gives me a job. If it wasn't for them, I would probably have to get a real job. But the way they handle hierarchical relationships for your users really sucks. It's clumsy. It's just a pain, particularly if you have a large org. If you got 6 users, you're golden. But when you got 600 or 300 or 100, it's a pain. Drag and roll, get it. So the first thing it does is just a nice normal hierarchy like this. You can designate how it's going to appear. And on this thing here, you got the regular, the view, the edit, the delete, the add, all that stuff. Okay, that's not the big thing. Here's the big thing, the part that I can't live without. Okay. Now, your copy will not have green squiggles. Warren, our corporate attorney, came down to my cubicle and told me if I didn't put the green squiggles over people's names, he would cut my legs off. And he's from Jersey, too. So, you can designate how you want it to appear. Now, when the guy up at the top there, Todd, calls me and says, Paul, I can't see any opportunities that Joelle has put in. I can say to him, Todd, it's probably because you're not doing something right. Because the hierarchy, I can see you, you can see those people. When Joelle calls me and says, Paul, I can't see any of Vaughn's opportunities, I can say, Joelle, it's because you're below him. This is a fast way to do things. Now, here's the really cool thing, and we're going to see if this wireless mic actually works. This thing right down here, see the little thing that looks like a chess piece? This thing, you click, you drag. You can move people that way. And it asks you to. Are you sure you want to do it, just in case you drop them in the wrong place? But when you have a lot of movement, and unlike those of us in the admin track, salespeople do tend to move around a little bit. The average life expectancy of our salespeople is around a quart of milk. So we're constantly moving people in the hierarchy. Fantastic thing here. Drag and roll. Get it. And with that?
Thank you, Paul. I don't know how I can compete with that. All right. So as a customer success manager, I am always looking for ways to get my customers using Salesforce better. So I wanted to take this opportunity to come up as well and highlight some applications that I am very fond of right now, and so are some of my customers. So I wanted to start off with a couple that are offered by one of our partners called InfoWelders. The first one is a revenue heat map. So for all of you out there who have sales managers or executives who are fairly visual, which most of them tend to be, it's always nice to put up one screen to allow them to see where they are, successful in some areas and maybe not so successful in other areas. So the revenue heat map, when you download it from the AppExchange, provides you with just this. It's a map. As you can see, Ohio in the bright red, top of the list, doing fairly well. The states that are kind of in that pale pink, also not doing so well. So this is a really great visual for sales reps, for sales managers, for executives, to try and determine where they need to be spending a little bit more of their time. The next one I want to highlight from InfoWelders is called Account Lifetime Value. Currently in Salesforce, if you on the account page want a really quick visual of how that account is performing from a revenue perspective across that account's lifetime, it's not that possible. It's not possible. You can run a report, and get the information, but you can't see it at the account level. So this is a really great application that allows you, by default, it provides you with a breakdown by year. So you can see on the slide it says 2007, 2008. And you can also drill in by month, so you could even see seasonal trends if you wanted to. So this is another great one to give you some quick information. Neither of these applications have any code. Again, they're completely free. I think Adam Weeb, who's one of the co-founders of InfoWelders, is here in the audience, and they've got some great other apps as well. So if you're looking for some more ideas on ways you can leverage this, I know he'd be more than willing to speak with you. All right, so let's switch to the Service Cloud here for a second. So for my customers who are running call centers, one of their main questions is, I want to know if one of my reps is working on a case that's been open for 2 weeks, exactly how many hours is that rep spending actually working on the case compared to waiting for responses from the customer? Maybe the customer went on vacation or whatever the case may be. So how much time is my rep really spending working that case? So there's a really great application on the AppExchange called Case Age in Business Hours. It is from Force.com Labs, as I mentioned before. And when you download it, it provides you with 3 additional fields on the case detail page. One is the time spent with the customer, one is the time spent with support, and the other one is the overall case age in business hours. And the way this is calculated is through a stop status field. So you actually do get another tab added to your page layout, and this is where your rep can actually sort of hit or stop the clock, which is what triggers the calculator to actually calculate the hours. So for my customers that I've recommended this to, they love it. All right, so we know that if you want to create, if you're a manager, for example, and you want to send out a task for your entire team, you have to do it one-on-one. It has to be an individual task to each person. There is an app, a little app on the AppExchange called Create Tasks for Entire Team. So this is a great way to allow managers to send out tasks to their team en masse. So if I want my team of 10 people to all go and do the same thing, there's a particular due date, etc. If I have this downloaded, I can actually assign the tasks to all these individuals all at once. Okay, so this is a great time saver and something that without this, obviously, you can't do natively in Salesforce.com right now. All right, so this one is a great example of how to leverage the platform within Salesforce. So this is something that we use internally at Salesforce.com. I've recommended it to a lot of my customers. It's called Time Off Manager, and I think it's been about 3 years that we've been using this so far. It leverages workflow and approvals. There's a little bit of Apex and validation rules going on there as well. And basically, it's an automated way within Salesforce for employees to go in and log their vacation requests. It's really easy to use. It also provides a calendar for managers to see visually where their team is at from a vacation perspective all at once. We implemented this, as I said, about 3 years ago, and prior to this, we were, I'm ashamed to say, kind of doing it the paper way, right? Jen West has a vacation request. I'm going to go and fill out the form. I'm going to submit it to my manager. But nothing was really being tracked. I was taking a lot of vacation then, by the way. So this one is really good. All right. So before I introduce our next speaker, I have a bit of a story to tell you. So my organization hosts what we call free best practice calls every day of the week. And on Fridays, we used to have a format called Birds of a Feather. So that meant that you could kind of come in, dial into the webinar, and relative to best practices, you could ask any question you wanted. Completely open forum. So it was a great way to get customers networking with each other, helping each other out with questions. There were always different questions, but the one thing that was the same every Friday was one of the attendees. We only knew him as Steve because we could see on the GoToMeeting that he signed in as Steve. And he also had an accent, which we kind of pegged as Boston. We just guessed, but we were pretty sure. So among the customer success management organization, he became known as Boston Steve. He was a staple on these calls. He could answer any question. He would spend additional time with customers. He became quite a legend. So much so that the customer success managers were fighting to get on the schedule for Fridays because we didn't have to do anything because Steve was going to be there. So I thought, wouldn't it be a great idea if I got Boston Steve to participate in this session today to talk about some of his favorite free apps that they leverage at his organization. So big round of applause for Boston Steve.
Thanks, Jen. I'm sorry my interpreter couldn't make it with me, so you're going to have to put my Boston accent. Or as I like to tell people, my hometown was settled in 1620, so I don't talk funny, you guys do. I've been the Salesforce administrator at Epsilon since our initial rollout of Salesforce back in August of 2003. And I've been a Developer Force member since 2004 and a Salesforce community member since 2005. In that time, our organization has grown from 28 users located in just North America to over 140 users now worldwide. And our data has grown from just 471 accounts to over 11,000 now. Now, like a lot of you, as our organization has grown, we've wrestled with data quality, or I should say a lack thereof. You might find this hard to believe, but sales reps hate doing data entry. It's shocking, I know. A user once told a friend of mine, "I'd like to help you with that, but I'm sorry, it's not a revenue-generating activity." So the data quality analysis dashboards published by Salesforce Labs on the AppExchange, it includes 4 dashboards, 25 reports that give you data quality scoring on almost all standard Salesforce objects with data quality as descriptions to help you identify the gaps in your data quality. Now, with the data quality dashboard, you get a lot of stuff. 4 dashboards, 25 reports, custom fields to hold the data quality score and the data quality description. Now, not everything in the data quality analysis dashboard pack is going to be a perfect fit for your org. Like for us, our sales reps aren't calling the corporate switchboard at headquarters when they make a call. So account phone number isn't worth 20 points to us. So I customized the formula, knocked the score on account phone down, and I boosted the score on things like that are important to us, like contact phone, contact email, account industry. So I took those 4 dashboards and 25 reports and boiled them down, picked the best pieces, and created our own scoring. And now every month, I have an executive data quality dashboard, one dashboard that gets emailed to our executive staff that gives them a high-level view of the account, contact, opportunity data quality, highlights our worst offenders, and then every week, our sales teams get an opportunity data quality dashboard that shows things like lapsed opportunities, things like that. You know, and this has been huge in helping us clean up our data. It just can't say enough about the data quality dashboard. And again, free, totally customizable to suit your organization. Yep. Yes. Now, to do that, though, you do have to take the code that is in the custom fields that the data quality analysis dashboard will install on your standard objects like accounts, opportunities, things like that. You just need to create a custom field on your custom object, and really you can just cut and paste that code and tweak the fields that it's pointing to. And again, just like we did on our org, play with the values. I mean, you know, our executives, they don't care where an account is physically located, but when they're looking at a sales pipeline dashboard, they want to see things like market penetration in the pharmaceutical industry, things like that. So, again, you know, play with the formulas, adjust the scoring to suit your organization. Next, I'd like to talk about one of my personal favorites, the Developer Edition. It's available on the Developer Force website for free. The Developer Force gives you access to technical notes, free code. You can communicate with other admins, developers, users. Get access to free tools like the Eclipse plugin for Force.com, the Adobe Flex Builder. But my personal favorite, when you join Developer Force, you get a free developer edition of Salesforce. It's a live, living, breathing mini Salesforce.com. All the objects, all the features, all the functionality, where you can test, you can download apps from the AppExchange and kick the tires on them on your developer account. See if they're a good fit for your org. See, customize them there, and then take your customized finished product and then load that up into your production instance. Can't say enough about it. And nice thing about it is it comes already loaded with dummy data. It's got accounts, contacts, leads, every type of record you can imagine in Salesforce. It's already loaded with them, so you don't have to do that data entry that you'll love to do so much. When you want to test a line of code, just to make sure that that new button you've been working on doesn't make your neighbor's printer catch on fire every time you click on it. This is hands down, if you don't pay attention to anything else I say, this is the thing that you really got to get. I want to talk a little bit about Salesforce Mobile Lite. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. If you're not using it, if you've got mobile users on BlackBerries, iPhones, I highly recommend this. If you're not familiar with it, it's a stripped-down version of the subscription Salesforce Mobile. Allows the users to look up any record, any standard record in Salesforce while they're on the road. You can log calls, log activities. Couple of nice things. If you got a sales user that's on the road paying a first-time visit to a client or a prospect, they can pull up the account in Salesforce on their mobile device and Google Map to the address on the account right from the Salesforce Mobile Lite app. And another little trick I learned, with the Microsoft Outlook connector, you can't attach an email from Microsoft Outlook to a lead in Salesforce. With Mobile Lite, you can. Just a little thing I stumbled onto one time by accident. Another great free app available. Now, the Sales KPI dashboard has been around for a long time. It was actually the first AppExchange app I ever installed. And when I did it, I was so terrified that I was going to break my Salesforce org, I installed it on my developer account. And once I got it there, the guy next door to me, his printer didn't catch on fire. I looked under the hood, looked at the reports, and I took the best parts of the Sales KPI dashboard, customized them, and created what I called my corporate executive pipeline. I rolled it out to our executive team. They liked it. They liked it so much that they started asking me if they could have a copy of it that was specific to their individual team. So I threw a couple of filters on it, cloned it, and rolled out team pipeline dashboards that go out every week. And during this time, Salesforce rolled out things like email delivery of reports and dashboards, scheduling of reports and dashboards. So now these executives are getting their dashboard delivered first thing Monday morning in their inbox. And let's face it, most users out there, when they get in the office, they're not logging into Salesforce first thing in the morning. They're logging in and checking their email first. So this thing is sitting there right in their inbox first thing Monday morning every week. Now, the users liked it so much that I created my own filtered version of the team dashboard, and I made it specific to each individual user. And again, it's emailed to them every week on schedule, and it gives them a view of their individual sales pipeline, year-to-date sales, current fiscal quarter, and then their total pipeline. Again, fully customizable. You can, I call it my, my user dashboard, but really it's the sales KPI dashboard version 5.0 because it all started with the sales KPI dashboard. Downloaded it from the AppExchange for free onto my developer account, also free. Scheduled and delivered by email, free. You guys sensing a trend here? I can't say enough about the sales KPI dashboard and the developer account. With that, I'm going to give it back to Jen.
Thanks, Steve. Is anyone learning anything? I hope so. It's great. Okay, so if you guys are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, we certainly don't want these free and cheap applications to be the only ones that you get to hear about. I did mention earlier on that there are over 300 on the AppExchange. If you sign up for the monthly newsletter, the monthly AppExchange newsletter, you will get on a regular basis the top 5 most popular free apps. So that's a good way for you to keep the momentum going in terms of what you learned today and be able to use some of these things on a regular basis. So we're going to make a bit of a shift now. We spent the first, as I mentioned, portion of this session talking about specifically AppExchange applications. Steve did introduce us to a couple of free tools from Salesforce, be it Mobile Lite and I'm drawing a blank. But we're going to shift gears here and solely focus on free and cheap tools offered by Salesforce. So with that, I'd like to throw it back to Carol.
Thanks, Jen. On the bottom of that slide was "there's more." We've learned so much already. How could there possibly be more? Sorry, I was channeling Mr. Benioff for a little bit. Didn't mean to do that. But Force.com app extensions, when Jen mentioned it earlier, not very many people raised their hands. And I always call this Salesforce's best kept secret. And it's not a secret because they don't tell you about it. When I call into support and have a huge custom challenge, they definitely tell me about it. They tell me that they'll give me 50 lines of fully tested and deployed code. And I'm thinking, oh, consulting. I don't want to pay for consulting. Consulting's so expensive. I've paid for consulting in my past. I've paid $500 an hour to have some little thing done, and then I'm not happy. But 50 lines of fully tested code is a lot. And there are things that you want to do with Salesforce that I know I don't have time for. Steve mentioned developer version. I haven't even had time to look at developer version. I'm too busy with my inside sales team, my sales ops group, and fixing all the fires and making sure everybody's making their numbers. So I need somebody to do it for me. We don't have development staff to do this kind of stuff. And I would pay to have this done. And I know all of you would pay to have somebody make your life a lot easier as well. The thing is, how much would you pay? Would you pay $500 an hour to make your Salesforce instance more customized for you and for things to work faster, process to work more efficiently? But the best kept secret is that you don't have to pay $500 an hour. It's $600 for 50 lines of fully tested code. $600. I can approve $600 all day long. So let's see. I'm going to let all those go. So even when the support guy says, well, we can do a custom app extension, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to take months and it's going to be big bucks. It's not. It's going to be quick and easy. They take your specifications and they guarantee that they deliver what you specified. So what can you do with those app extensions? One of the famous things everybody says sarcastically about Salesforce is you can build anything you want with Salesforce. And that is a problem, isn't it? You can build anything you want. That's too broad. So with the app extension, you can have them build anything you want. So all you have to do is tell them what you need. So we had a challenge that our order entry people dealt with every day. Our company, as I mentioned, is in the cloud, and so we have annual reoccurring revenue. And we create an opportunity for that renewal when an opportunity closes. And the order entry people were cloning an opportunity, changing a bunch of fields, going and looking at some spreadsheet to figure out who it belonged to now. And it was taking 10 to 15 minutes to create this new opportunity. When it was 10 orders, that was fine. But when it's over 100 orders a month, 1 or 2 people can't keep up with that. So I said, this is what we need. I mean, it's all things that if I built 400 workflow rules and 90 validation rules, we could do. And they created a button. It's a button. You can see it right there. It says Create Renewal. So now my order entry people click Create Renewal, and in seconds, they have that renewal created, everything populated. And I have custom places to go and update, right? So one of the things it picks is who it belongs to. And who it belongs to is based on several things, size of deal, territory, and so it looks all of that up, and I can go in and then change that when it changes. As we know, everything changes so quickly. So this has been a huge lifesaver for me, and my sales ops team call it the magic button. They love the magic button. So when you think about app extensions, I mean, I've also used it for several other things, adding sales team members when there's too many criteria. It's awesome, powerful tool. So when you think about app extension, think about magic. And you want some magic from Salesforce. So talking about magic, I'm going to send you back to the guy who has that magical personality, Paul Young.
Thank you. So I know it's getting close to the end of the session. Everybody's getting a little bit fidgety. But unless you had bad fish for lunch, just kind of sit tight, because we got some really cool stuff for you here at the end. So, took a second to sink in, didn't it? First one, the data loader. Anybody here use the data loader? Okay, we can just skip these slides then. Going to whip through it then, because the next part is the one that I really want to talk to you about. So you guys know what the data loader is. It's for bulk import, updates, upserts. It's powerful, much like C4. Anybody here use C4 in their past career? Okay, I guess I'm alone then. It can be used for good or evil. Use it for good, you look like this guy minus the kind of strange tights. Use it wrong, there's your career. Now, that could not be a bad thing. I mean, you know, you go out to monster.com, you find another gig. But the point is, it's a free application supplied by Salesforce, incredibly powerful, incredibly useful. Please know what you're doing before you use it. Otherwise, you might want to enlist my company's services to help get your data back. All right. I'm going to whip through it since just about everybody here is familiar with it. It's GUI driven, so it makes it much easier to destroy your data if you use it carelessly. Here's the part. Now, here's where I need your help. Anyone in here speak Mandarin? Mandarin Chinese? One in the back. Okay, good. Anybody in here speak Hindi? Excellent. All right. And just a couple more. Here's an obscure one. Telugu. I got one up here. And how about German? Perfect. In German, sir, in German, what is the word for meeting like this? Thank you. So, because I don't have access to Google, and Google is what makes me appear smart to my employers, I had to turn to a community of believers here and ask these questions. Now, you know, when Mark Benioff and I were having dinner the other night, and I was giving him the idea for Chatter, you know, back in the day we called that Usenet. Some of you are old enough to remember what that was, or forums. But that's what it is. I'm harnessing the power of you guys. And that's the most powerful thing in here. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it because I'm not that bright. But over here, if you go to the login page, you're going to see CRM community or developer community, depending on which track you go. Everybody here earlier said they were pretty much familiar with it. And I'm guessing you're familiar with it much like we're familiar with what we should be eating versus what we do actually eat. Go to it. Poke around in it because you're going to find some really cool stuff. You can crowdsource your answers. You can get the collective wisdom of the hive. You can also download all these cool pieces of training materials, best practices. Then you use the single most powerful tool that any of us have: copy and paste. Put it into a new document, send it to your CIO, and say, look what I did. It's gotten me this far in my career. Best of the best. This is like hiring consultants, not paying them, and not getting sued. You go out there, you ask questions. Now, don't be a noob. Nobody likes newbies, whether it's in World of Warcraft or on the forums. Search for it first. Somebody else probably already asked the question. But if they didn't, ask your question. Give some details. I use the unlimited version. I have 200 users. We all speak Tagalog. And here's my problem. You will find somebody who's going to answer it. Now, the gentleman who told me what the German word for meeting is, I have no idea. You could have just told me that it's a German word for meeting, and it's actually the phrase that means go to hell guy on the stage. So when you get an answer here, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be correct. But please, sanity check it. When somebody tells you, gives you a command in Linux, don't be that newbie who actually has the one that recursively deletes all your directories down to home. Yeah, I see the guy laughing. You know what I mean, don't you? It's a very powerful crowdsourcing tool, or chatter, as we like to call it now, with those little teeth things. Go ahead and use it, though. It's free, and it's included. Ideas. Anyone here use ideas? Okay, good. A few people. How about, do you use it externally, like for your customers? Anybody use it internally? Good. This is really cool, because your users know where the pinch points are. I can be here all day, and to me, because I come from a Unix background, I come from AS400s, from Linux. To me, Control-Alt-F6, delete, and then kick it twice seems like a very intuitive shortcut. Some of my users disagree, and they tell me very emphatically on here. Now, Jen, one thing they could probably use is a profanity filter on here, because you will get the unadulterated truth with this thing. Put it out there. Let your users tell you what they need. And then you can look like a hero. You can look really bright. Again, that's how I got ahead in my career. My favorite. Just like copy and paste. Take credit for the work of others. Okay. That's what it looks like. It's pretty. It's Web 3.0. Yeah. All right. Jen?
Once again, thanks, Paul. All right, so we covered a lot. We covered almost 20 applications and tools and services offered by Salesforce and, of course, partners that you can take advantage of. So just to recap, we've got partner apps that we talked about, Salesforce apps, tools and services, and again, as a reminder, the ones that are highlighted with the red star are those we focused on that highlight anything to do with data quality. Okay, we're almost getting to the 5-minute mark, so I'll wrap up fairly quickly. I wanted to highlight, when you go back to the office, if we could summarize what we think you need to do now, I think this would be it, right? Go up and sign up for the AppExchange newsletter so that these aren't the only 20 free things that you're going to get. You're going to get a lot more. If you don't have a free developer account or developer edition, go and sign up for one. It's fantastic. My speakers have been kind enough to provide their aliases out there in the developer and community websites. So if you, and discussion boards, so if you want to reach out to them via those avenues, by all means, they'd be more than happy to help you with issues, answer some of your questions. And finally, this presentation will be posted on the community website probably in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. So if you missed anything, if you want to recap, feel free to download it when it becomes available. So what are you going to do also? Hopefully, after this, we want to send you back to work a hero. So I do have, we did have a bit of a draw here, and there are 3 things that we're raffling off. I'm going to put this down. Luckily, I'm a loud talker. You are now. Okay. So fleeces as well as a video flip to give away. So I'm going to do the draw. All right. So we'll do the fleeces first. Okay, so Marshall Handy. All right. All right. You want a fleece? You want a fleece? You know what we'll do? I'll put your names. I'll call it the names, and then we can come up after, and I'll give you the swag. All right. So, forgive me if I misspell or mispronounce anybody's name. Lisa Petkosa. Excellent. Lisa, you got the piece. You got the piece. Okay. Drum roll. I wish I had one, but I don't. Okay, so for the flip video, we have Sheila Marks. Excellent. Is Sheila here? Sheila's here? Good, 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 good. Okay. I also want to encourage everybody to go down to the survey counters down in Moscone so you can provide feedback on the sessions. Of course, 5 are greatly appreciated. And if anybody has questions and answers, stick around. We're definitely here. Are there any questions from anybody?